Gemenadí Eve Uachtaráin, Lord Mayor, Taoiseach, Ministers, fellow legislative speakers, ambassadors, current and former Oireachtas colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's more an pleasure dom agus go deimhin is mór an honor fáilte chealaigh go chur roimh go léir an seo I dteachanáid mhuire inniu don ócáid stairiúil seo chun comóra a dhéanamh curthaim 100 bliain an chéad tionól de Dáil Éireann. Cuireann sé riméad orm an líon mór cairde atá inar deanta inniu a eicáil an seo. Cuireann fáilte críúil roimh go léir. As the 19th Count Corla, Chair of Dáil Éireann, I invite you all to join with us today in reflecting on the past century, here in the very room where the first Teachtaí Dála met for the first time on this day in 1919. And as I consider that momentous occasion for Ireland, weeks after the turbulent general election of 1918, and a few short months after a catastrophic war which scarred the minds of Europe for many years to come, I pause to reflect on the hopes and ambitions of the young Irish men and women who met here to create a new nation state. They were not alone in creating new countries from the embers of a broken Europe, but their challenges were local and unique. As I've said on previous occasions during this period of commemorations, what a number of weeks it must have been to be alive in Ireland, history and politics, cheek by jowl through the wet winter lanes and alleyways of Dublin. Men and women reading their latest news of political developments over warm country hearts. The grainy black and white photographs of the era seeming to come alive with hope and ambition for a new Irish state, standing up against the might of a vast empire. As we gather here in the round room of the Mansion House, I think about the men and women of January 1919. I think if their voices could be heard, what would they say to us about the Ireland of today? We have journeyed a long road in the past century, becoming an integral part of the European project, friends and influencers in a political union inconceivable to those who gathered here 100 years ago. We have matured and grown in stature as a state, politically, economically, and socially, and we have confidently taken our place in the world. And I salute the distinguished guests who join us here today, especially those from other EU nations who have been loyal friends to us, particularly during recent times. But those voices from 100 years ago might also ask why we still face so many social challenges. Like so many other nations, Ireland faces challenges of housing, in the healthcare area, the accessing disability services, for an example, as well as elements of inequality still experienced throughout our land. We can learn from the drive, the energy and the passion of those people who sat here 100 years ago and seek to emulate them in working together to address the challenges which face us today. Dag na daoine sin a híos a seomra crin seo 100 bliain ó hen, Oireacht luachmhar faoin ar gúram. Ní followar doing a choróing, I de chuinál inar gluimhne agus onóir a thuairt don a hard aimimena agus don dóchas mór a bhí acu. Mar a déireann seanach an gailge, maran an chréibh an bháil, ach ní waran an lámh do chuir. As Count Corla, I am proud of the unbroken line of democracy from those days of optimism in the Mansion House of January 1919 through to the complex challenges of more recent years. We have sailed through the often turbulent waters of a world war, of economic difficulties, of recessions, and of violence here on our island. But we have faced the challenges and emerged as a stable, confident nation, proudly taking our place on the world stage. We have seen significant changes in the composition and operation of Dáil Éireann over the past century. The economic and social difficulties of the past decade or so have prompted us to make changes to strengthen our political governance. We have invested in additional supports for budgetary and legislative scrutiny in our Parliament. And I believe that we should be rightly proud of our history of parliamentary democracy, which has ensured that the Irish people's voice has been heard loudly and clearly through our democratic processes. And we do not take this privilege for granted. We must remain vigilant and protective of the democratic mandate invested in us, and we must continue to honour it. And in an era of populist nationalism across the globe, with 24/7 news cycles and persistent, insistent social media, Irish parliamentarians and our parliamentary processes are challenged as never before. The temptation is to be reactive rather than proactive. But the men and women of 1919 were proactive as well as reflective, moving swiftly and with genuine passion from their success at the British election to their message to the free nations of the world in Irish, French and English, delivered here in the Mansion House. I have used recent commemorations to make the point that there is dignity and honour in seeking membership of the houses of the Oireachtas to represent our towns, our villages, our communities and our people. Representative politics is an honourable pursuit, as much now as it was 100 years ago. Níl muid na polaitóirí náisiúnta gan locht, ach tá na teachtaí dála go léir a bhfuil siad de pribhléid agamsa a bheith ag fóna bhína deanta sa dara dáil is tríocha réon íontan. Ó hí freastal ar an bubble a chuir a untaíomh untal, is ag leanúint an cosán daite a leag fir agus mará anar míle nígéad is an ídeag atá siad. J'espère que vous appréciez cet avant commémoratif qui vise à rendre hommage à ceux qui sont réunis dans cette même salle il y a 100 ans. And I now invite you to watch a short video presentation of 100 years of Dáil Éireann. It reflects a century of political and social evolution in Ireland's history, many different threads of our national narrative, weaving together to make us what we are today.
Tara an tauchan, an old tauchan and Shah, near Akshay in Avarice, Kedbivian the winter Nehiran. Goranian, a Vesseer, Naf Splach, Agus, Public, Mar, Horus, Realtish Akhl.
Our newfound freedom gives us opportunities for developing in our own way, unchanneled and uninterrupted, the destiny which is the prime consideration of the founders of this state.
The great Irish poet once wrote, "I believe profoundly in the future of Ireland, that this is an isle of destiny, that destiny will be glorious, and that when our hour is come, we will have something to give to the world. My friends, Ireland's hour has come."
The picture of the Irish people presented in the past was often the false and distorted. We want to substitute for it a more true representation, that of a vigorous, progressive, modern nation, proud of its history and traditions, but looking confidently to the future and determined that in the future it will take second place to none in any field of progress.
The very fact that there is today an independent Irish state confirms the fact that we too shall become a free people.
I want women who have felt themselves outside history to be written back into history. In the words of Ivan Boland, finding a voice where they have found a vision.
The people have endorsed the Good Friday Agreement in overwhelming numbers. The people have shown clearly and emphatically that they want peace, they want an accommodation, and they want to work together.
So much shared history, so much shared pain, and now the shared hope of a new beginning.
We are a people looking always and ever to the new possibilities of a new day.
Together, we have much to celebrate, the shared values that make us firm friends and equal partners.
Michael Collins believed that with the right political and economic social system in place, Ireland could become a shining light unto the world. And a century later, that dream lives on in all of us in this chamber, in all parties and none.
The great project of Irish independence, which the first Dáil embodied, still endures in the soul of this 32nd Dáil. That it continues is a historic responsibility which rests upon the shoulders of everybody in this chamber. Fóltaí agus íon irirce, is iad an tuachtarán agus an dátheach an Oireachtas, Dáil Éireann agus Seán three colún an Oireachtas. I am honoured to welcome Uachtarán na Héireann Michael D. Higgins to address us.